Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation. Great question. In our personal lives, we keep track of our healthcare, of our well-being, especially with our smartphones and our, trackers and smart watches. Most of us now know that we should kind of do about 10,000 steps a day, and the intake of calories and how we the diets we are following, and we basically have a notion of measuring what we eat, how much we move, and so forth. When you look at our cars, for example, our cars have a cockpit, our planes have a cockpit, and we see how fast we are driving, not to get a ticket and to follow the rules. So we basically measure many things all the time, almost, and we're used to this. And one of the oldest measurements is basically looking at the sun and knowing what time of the day it is, to understand when to look after the animals, when to look after the children, when to look after the business, and when to go to the prayer, or when to go for dinner, and so forth. Measurement is quite important, and when you look at how much we are basically explicitly or implicitly measuring our personal lives, we also became very used to measure our core processes and our business in our professional life. And since Peter Drucker, there is this famous saying, what's measured gets done, or you manage what you measure, basically. And therefore, we believe that looking at some key measures in any business, either big or small, fast or slow, which industry, doesn't matter, looking at profitability, looking at cash flow, looking at efficiency, looking at customer satisfaction is quite important. And most of us do this on a daily basis, almost in real time. And the large organizations are more luckier. They have huge systems and dashboards and business intelligence and this and that, and they can, they have teams developing all those reports and dashboards and intelligence using today big data and artificial intelligence. For SMEs, though, it's not as easy as for big institutions. And also for SMEs, it's more about the daily operations and the daily cash flow, being able to pay the salaries and the tax at the end of the month, satisfying the customers, as just Fatima was referring to, as the customers are pivoting these days because of the pandemic, the SMEs need to adopt as well. And in that context, when we look at that the whole world is digitally transforming, and the pandemic just accelerated this and increased the impact of the transformation, I think it's also important to understand the key measures of digital transformation as well. And that exactly is what the Digital Maturity Index is. Imagine an X-ray device. Imagine we are 5-6 people here on this panel, and none of us, with our plain eyes, we can't see the bones inside of our bodies. But if you have an X-ray device, you can see the bones and the other tissues, and can identify a cancer or a tumor and some other issues within the body. So we have a huge X-ray device, and we can put it in front of the company, either SME or large organization, and that X-ray basically does the diagnostic, does the screening, does the scanning, how digital that organization is. And we can put a number to that on the scale from 1 to 5, and can tell you where you are. So 1 is the beginner level and 5 is the digital level. And you can compare yourself against your competitors, against your peers. You can compare and you can learn from best practices from other industries. you can imagine that the banking industry is far more advanced in digital transformation than the retail industry or the construction industry. So, but probably the banking industry can learn and borrow from some other industries, and the other industries can learn how the banking industry has achieved this. And the SMEs need to learn from everybody because they are just starting to digitally transform because they have limited capabilities. And therefore, if you don't have, there's a famous saying, I think this is available in many different cultures: I'm not rich enough to buy something cheap. If you go for a cheap solution, you probably have to replace it over time because it will break. So for an SME, it's much more important to do smart decisions and to do something right at the first place. So because they don't have the resources to do it over and over again. In a bank, they can have a core banking application and the project may fail in 2 years and they may write off millions of dollars, and then they do a new project, which takes them another 2-3 years, which is commonplace because they have the enough resources, the operations goes on, and in total, the cost is marginal for a bank. But for an SME, every penny counts, basically, and therefore they should be very smart in the decisions they make. And the better you know your health condition, the better you can customize your diet and your fitness program, and every single step you take basically helps you to advance. Otherwise, you will fall behind. And I think in this panel, we don't discuss if this digital transformation will take place or not. It's not a question about if, it's about, the question is about when, what, and how you can adopt to this. And the good news for those who embrace it, it's all about opportunities, because a local SME can go out in the global world through Alibaba, through Amazon, through other means of delivery and customer reach, and can become immediately a global SME, which is impossible by doing themselves. And this is true for other industries and for other capabilities as well. For those who are feeling threatened by digital transformation, all those novelties look like challenges and threats and difficult to adopt. But those who have the right mindset and the right skills, for them, it's all opportunities. And the future, I think, will be much more digital than today. And those SMEs who will adopt and will walk their journey and improve their digital maturity, they will succeed.